What's up, people? Um, I wanted to get this out before the year was over, but then I was like, nah, I'll just wait till January. So here it is. I decided to do a tier list of all the MCU movies and Disney Plus shows that have come out as of 2021. All four movies and five Disney Plus shows, which you could argue that's way too much, but I thought it was all right. Um, So yeah, this is phase four so far as of 2021. This year we've got a lot too. We've got Multiverse of Madness, we got Love and Thunder, Wakanda Forever, Miss Marvel, um, there's Moon Knight and She-Hulk, and even the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. There's a lot. Uh, they're cranking out even more than phase three. So I just want to do a tier list every year of everything phase four related. So yeah, let's start with 2021 with Phase Four's movies and shows. Um, yeah, we cool. Um, Not much else preamble. I guess we could just get jump right into it. It so I mean, WandaVision was technically the one that started it, but Black Widow was supposed to be the beginning of Phase Four, but then COVID messed up the schedule. So I'm gonna talk about Black Widow first. The first movie since Far From Home. It's been a while. Okay, so admittedly, maybe it's because I was getting a little too hyped for this. They kept delaying it, and I was kept thinking, they must really be holding on to something amazing. This has to be good if they keep delaying it like this. They have to put this in theaters. They can't just put it only on Disney Plus. I was kind of hyped. So I guess I got more and more hyped for that because of it. Then when it came out, um, not much. I just put it in okay. This man, I don't know. I got myself a little too hyped, and I really should have toned it down. This was not good. I, it is one of the most painfully mediocre movies I've seen in a long time. You know, like I wanted to like it, but I don't know. There was just something missing. It's kind of like Amazing Spider-Man. I want to like this, but there's just something missing to make it great, or even good. Everybody's already mentioned the biggest issue. This movie is way too late. Like, oh, so we saw her die in Endgame, and then we suddenly have her solo movie 2 years later. It's a bit late for that. Um, you know, I don't know, I just wasn't interested because I knew her story. I mean, Yelena was cool. I enjoyed her, but and the fight scenes were okay. Not very mind blowing. That's the biggest word, the biggest phrase I think. Not very mind blowing. Like, um, I don't know. I've only seen it twice, and both times I'm just kind of watching it. And I don't know. Again, I wish I could have liked it, but it just wasn't good, guys. Okay. Um. So we move on to the second movie, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and I would put this in good. I actually really liked Shang-Chi. The more I think about it, the more I actually kind of liked it. It is there is this Tony Leung plays the dad. He's really darn cool, and I love the he's definitely playing one of the best Marvel villains in a while since Mysterio, I think, or maybe since Agatha Harkness. And I think about it, but yeah, the it is almost like the conflict in Civil War, where these two characters, Tony and Cap, have these conflicting ideologies, and they're going to have to fight in order to choose decide which one's better. Kind of same thing here between Shang-Chi and his dad. You know, the mom dies and the dad's all like, like she's actually still alive and I need to save her. And Shang-Chi's like, no, 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 she's dead. And by the way, where were you when we needed your help? Like, I just found that really compelling. And the fight scenes are really sick too. Apparently, cinematographer Bill Pope, who's did the Matrix movies, at least the first three, came back for this, and you can tell because the fight scenes are so good. You know, the camera like makes sure you can actually see the action. That's not up close, you know, and it's just really fun. And yeah, I just like the conflict and the fight scenes. Um, How much else? I am definitely looking forward to seeing where Shang-Chi ends up next in the MCU. Like, have they announced a sequel for this yet? They might have. The third movie is Eternals, which, yeah, it's the first MCU movie to get a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that should have belonged to Thor: The Dark World, but yeah, this ain't good. Eternals, like, honestly, unlike Shang-Chi, where the more I think about it, the more I like it, Eternals, the more I think about it, the worse it gets. Like, wow. Like, I counted, like, you know that shot where all the Eternals are there, they're posing for the camera? I counted, there are, I'm not kidding, 10 characters. 10. Like, like, I got the feeling that Marvel was so confident that they could do ensemble movies that they thought, we'll just introduce 10 characters all at once, it'll be fine. But it's like, no, like there are so many characters, and I honestly can't remember many of their names. Like I know there's Cersei, there's Icarus, Sprite's easy. Um, I'm trying to remember. You know, there's Ajax. There's like again, there's way too many characters, and they all have this monotone way of talking. Like I guess there's the Bollywood actor who probably has the most personality, and they also have to establish all the lore, and I'm just like, my goodness, there's so much. Like it's almost the same problem I had with Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, where they are so ambitious. Like the writers and directors were so ambitious to cram in everything they could without really putting together a good movie first. Like it's just it's really messy. It I just didn't. I'm like, I don't care about these new characters, and again, I wanted to like it, but it just wasn't good. Well, actually, I'll save that for last. So moving on to all the Disney Plus shows, the first one we have is WandaVision, and yeah, I on the first viewing, I did kind of think, man, like the finale we were all disappointed about, but when I rewatched it, I actually really enjoyed it. I'd put this in great. It, I actually really liked WandaVision. Like I found like Wanda beforehand, I always thought was an okay character. Her accent was bad in Age of Ultron. A little. The Russos gave her a little more depth in Civil War, Infinity War, and I kind of was rooting for her when she fought Thanos in Endgame. But other than that, not much else. This is the show that made me actually really like her as a character. Going through the 5 stages of grief, if some people have said, and it's really cool. Um, going through all the sitcoms. Like I haven't really watched that much sitcoms. I mostly got all the references during the episode 7, I think, with the 2010s sitcom. Where they break the fourth wall. Isn't that what the episode's called too? Darcy Lewis was also, I thought, was improved in this. Randall Park is in this and is cool. Paul Bettany is also a lot of fun. Can't wait to see where he goes next. And Agatha Harkness is also pretty cool. My biggest complaint with this is definitely Evan Peters. When he showed up, and we were all expecting an X-Men crossover. Like, I was calling Magneto would show up in the finale. I didn't know if it was going to be Ian McKellen or Michael Fassbender. It was going to be Magneto. He was going to pop up, but then he never did, and turns out it was just in there for a boner joke, I guess. And it's like, like, man, that was the most upsetting thing, honestly. Just the fact that they threw in Evan Peters, and we all thought this had to be an X-Men connection, but no, not really. It's just a fake out. So, yeah. But other than that, I think WandaVision's pretty good. Then we got the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Apparently, the general consensus on Falcon is, it's okay. I feel like I'm the only one, but I actually think it's really good. I think it's the best Disney Plus show. Like, I don't know, there's just something about Falcon I really liked. Well, I'll say what it is. You know, I also always liked Sam. And he was given to Captain America's shield. You know, like, and then if there's a good way to show you why he's the perfect Captain America, show somebody who is the complete opposite in John Walker. And that's what they did. That John Walker showed us how not to be Captain America, and it's really cool. And you know, Sam is a lot more developed. So much more screen time to develop Sam, and Bucky is cool too. Getting over or all the kills he's done as the Winter Soldier, and Zemo is also pretty fun. And Carly Morgenthau, yeah, isn't really the best as like I could tell what they were trying to do, but she wasn't really developed enough for me to care when she died. But it's kind of like the first Iron Man, where the villain sucks, but the character work done with the main character is good enough for me to really like the show. And yeah, the costume at the end was pretty sick. This definitely does feel like a Captain America 4, or despite the Russos not directing. And yeah, actually, yeah, I think Falcon's probably the most underrated MCU thing so far. Well, maybe that's Iron Man 3, but no, Falcon's the most underrated, I think. Then we got Loki, which definitely feels like the biggest Disney Plus show with the highest stakes. Which, yeah, I would put right here. Better than WandaVision, not as good as Falcon. Like, yep, up. It did a crap ton of world building with the TVA and explaining the whole multiverse concept. Unlike Eternals, where I would find myself a little lost at times, I was able to follow Loki's world building fairly well. And Sylvie was cool. And I really like seeing Loki kind of go through another redemption arc. Though it does seem like it's going to be a little slower because he isn't entirely trustworthy yet, and not much else I can think of. Oh, and Owen Wilson's also cool. I can't wait for season 2. Oh, and He Who Remains is still out there. I think he's going to be in Ant-Man 3, right? So that's going to be exciting. After that, we got What If, the first animated series, and it's a little better than Shang-Chi, I think. So What If was cool. Didn't do a review on it, but I'll do a review here. Um, I guess I could. Well, actually, I had some notes about the show. For each episode, so I guess I could real quick do that. Probably gonna be the longest section. Where is it? But yeah, I really liked it. All right. What if Captain Carter were the first Avenger? One thing I gotta appreciate is, even though Peggy is the new Captain America, or Captain Carter, I guess, they do still keep the romance between her and Steve, because they take that thing from Endgame where you see Peggy's office and she has a picture of Steve, not the muscular one, but the skinny one, on the show, it's not the muscles that made her love Steve. They keep that, and they still don't forget him as a character. Like they have him fight in World War II in that cool armor. So yeah, that's pretty sick. Um, and uh, and yeah, Captain Carter is really cool. I definitely want to see her in live action. They'll probably bring her back in Multiverse of Madness. And yeah, not much else for that. I just want to see more of her. What if T'Challa became a Star Lord? Well, first of all, Korath had more personality than in this one episode than the two movies he was in. Um, it definitely does a really good job exploring a new relationship. Like T'Challa isn't like Peter Quill. He's a lot wiser, and I like the different ideas they do with him, and his relationship with Yondu as well is really cool. Well, like I found myself invested, and also the Collector is a pretty cool bad guy. Thanos, I thought was a little too weak, but other than that, this one was a lot of fun, and it is sad to know that this is Chadwick Boseman's final time as T'Challa. So this does kind of work as a nice tribute to him, even if it wasn't intended to be. Would have loved to see more of him. What if the world lost its mightiest heroes? Um, well, it's a murder mystery episode. Like, I'm a sucker for murder mysteries. You know, all the Avengers are dying, and Nick Fury is a protagonist, so that's cool. And he's got to how to figure out who the killer is, and turns out it's Hank Pym at the end. Something I like is that the diverging point in this episode isn't revealed until the end, when it's revealed that Hope Van Dyne died, and her dad Hank is so ticked off about it he wants to go on a killing rampage because he blames Shield for her death. And yeah, it's a fun murder mystery. A What if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands? I think some people say that most people would say this is probably one of the better episodes, which I do kind of agree. Maybe not my top two, not top three, but it's a good episode. You know, uh, the absolute point concept that Ancient One explains. I really felt like that was Marvel's way of telling the audience that there was no way for a character to get resurrected. Like if they wanted to resurrect Tony after Endgame, they can't because the absolute point will prevent that from happening. That really felt eye winky. But anyway, it's definitely one of the boldest episodes I've seen where the universe around Doctor Strange literally gets destroyed because he wanted to save his girlfriend, which, yeah, you know, I did find myself of going, oh man, when it ended. And yeah, Doctor Strange learns to let go in this. And I think he's gonna come back in Multiverse of Madness too. What if zombies? And that's the title. I don't know, a little weird. Like, really, you're doing a zombie apocalypse? Like, okay, I felt a little random. Um, um, I will say though, the moment where Bucky fights the zombie version of Steve, and he goes, "I guess this isn't the end of the line." I was kind of like, "Dang, that's sad." I also really liked Vision's thing about wanting to feed Wanda, but then and kind of fast too, deciding not to. And also, Peter Parker was in this, and he mentioned Uncle Ben. It's probably the only time Uncle Ben gets mentioned in the MCU, at least for Tom Holland's version. What if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark? Or Well, a lot of people are saying Michael B. Jordan should come back as Killmonger, and I'm like, no, like his death at the end of Black Panther was already perfect. Well, here we go. Here's more Michael B. Jordan. Um, yeah, this is all right. You know, seeing him interact with Tony Stark, and not much else. This episode doesn't really. I mean, they kill Tony, and then he just kind of takes over Wakanda successfully this time. Not much else. I mean, I guess this one prevents the Avengers from happening. I mean, this was probably one of the less interesting ones. The only reason why I was interested is because, Killmonger's a great villain. What if Thor were an only child? This is definitely, out of all the ones, the most fun. Like Chris Hemsworth keeps doing the whole thing with being funny as Thor, and it's Ragnarok level enjoyable with him. And there's also a fight between him and Captain Marvel. Is also a lot of fun, and also the way the episode ends with Thor trying to get everybody to clean up everything on Earth because his mom is coming. Because my mother is coming and she is very mad. Like, I don't know, that was just hilarious to me. But yeah, what if Ultron won? All right, so it's a Terminator episode. Ultron wins and takes over that vibranium body that the Avengers didn't get in this version, and kills most of them except Clint and Natasha. And now they have to figure out how to stop him. Um. Oh, I felt bad when Clint died, so there's that. And not much else. It just kind of felt like the setup for the finale. Speaking of, what if the Watcher broke his oath? Oath. Um, why was Killmonger chosen from episode 6 anyway? I'm not sure why. Um, oh, I did not see this coming. Like all the previous episodes connect into this one. And I found myself going, "Wow, that's actually kind of clever," making me satisfied that I've seen all of them. And and not much else. This was pretty fun seeing all these characters come together to fight Ultron. I've seen some people complain that, oh, we've seen that before, and I'm just like, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. I think it's fun, and yeah, the action is pretty cool. Well, this does kind of look like the animation to Star Wars Resistance, which is that one TV show that only lasted for 2 seasons, where they kind of combine 2D and CG animation, and this is basically that, and it looks pretty cool. And yeah, I really enjoyed What If. Also, where was Gamora too? Apparently, Gamora had an episode, but they ended up cutting it. So, kind of curious to see what that was about. And then we got Hawkeye. Like, I'm not sure. I wasn't entirely impressed with Hawkeye. Like, I will say there are moments where they'll have a sad scene, and I'll be going, man, I do feel that. For example, there's that moment where Clint's talking to his son on the phone, and Kate is there, or writing what the kid is saying because Clint's hearing aids were taken out, and I just thought that was compelling. And there's that scene during the finale where Clint meets up with Yelena, and they talk about how Natasha sacrificed herself. Like, oh, that was, yeah. There are tear jerkers in this, even though I didn't cry. Kate was fun. I enjoyed seeing her get more and more mature as it kept going. And then Kingpin showed up. Like, personally, I haven't seen a Daredevil Netflix series yet. At, though after this show, I really want to now. Like, I've seen some people say that Kingpin apparently was seriously downgraded in this compared to Daredevil. I don't know. I thought he was pretty tough. There's you know Kate shoots an arrow in his chest, and he just goes, yeah, and he takes bullets to the head. A car crashes into him, and he's just fine. Like, I thought Kingpin was pretty tough, though maybe he's tougher in Daredevil. And and I also kind of expected Clint to die, but he didn't, and looks like, yeah, he's gonna be passing the torch on to Kate. And again, not much else. I thought this is a pretty fun show. Oh, I didn't find it as compelling as these three live action Disney Plus shows, but I was still kind of sort of satisfied with it. All right, and save this one for last because it's by far the biggest one. Like, even if you have MCU fatigue, which I can understand, this is the one people were most looking forward to, and me too. Spider-Man: No Way Home. Oh boy, pretty obvious, but by far the best one, the best movie, better than all Disney Plus shows. Like, man, I would even go as far as to say it's the best Spider-Man movie. Like, Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse are great, but I don't know, No Way Home knocks them out of the park. And yeah, like, this was awesome. You know, um, you know, I'm saying a lot. I know. Like, I did watch all the Spider-Man movies beforehand. The Raimi movies and the Web movies, and it was worth it to see it to do that because you see all these characters come in. We got Doc Ock and Green Goblin, Electro, like they got all the same actors back. Lizard and Sandman kind of felt like they were there because they thought they needed to have at least one villain from each movie. And because their role kind of felt a little small, and then of course, I mean, spoilers up, but I mean, I think we've all seen it by now. The movie's already made over $1 billion. So yeah, Toby and Andrew come in, and it is really cool. I know we all saw it coming, but it was still cool. I still laughed. Well, laughed seeing there's scenes where they're interacting, but I meant to say I still got excited. Like, the theater around me cheered. I just love seeing them come together and fight all these villains, and Tom's Peter ends up. Okay, so something else too. Oh, you could argue this movie is just soulless fan service, kind of like Rise of Skywalker, where they just cram in so much fan service, hoping you would get satisfied. I, but this is like, no, we're gonna have fan service, but we still want to tell a good story. All right, like, for Tom's Peter, this is where he officially becomes Spider-Man. I thought he became Spider-Man in the Far From Home review that I did, but then I thought about it. No, this is where he becomes Spider-Man because he tries to solve all his issues by erasing all the memories of everybody, but then he realizes no, he's gonna have to deal with it, and then he ultimately sacrifices his existence. Like, just everybody doesn't even know him anymore, just to prevent the multiverse from collapsing on them. And then he ends up living alone with literally nobody to talk to. Like, even Aunt May's dead. They gave him the great power, the great responsibility speech. Each and he even sews his own suit by himself instead of building a suit out of Stark technology. So yeah, this is where he becomes Spider-Man, and also does a good job finishing up Toby and Andrew's stories. I've seen some people say that after this, we need to get either a Spider-Man 4 or an Amazing Spider-Man 3, but I don't think that's necessary. I don't think there's any more story for Toby because for him, like, after Spider-Man 3, they mentioned he eventually got back with MJ, and he's figured out how to live his life as both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. So there's that. I don't think we need a Spider-Man 4 for him. Like, I don't know. He passed on the torch to Tom, taught him a lesson, and yeah, I don't think there's anywhere else for him to go. Oh, and that moment where Green Goblin stabs him was maybe like probably one of the only times a fake out death legit got me. And then Andrew, well, maybe we could get an Amazing Spider-Man 3 for him. I can see that, but I think this guy does a good job resolving his story. After Amazing Spider-Man 2, where Gwen died, he's so depressed, and then he ends up getting a second chance to save a girl when he saves MJ or Tom's MJ, and yeah, it's a lot of people have already been talking about how this movie made Andrew Garfield's Peter a lot better in so many people's eyes. I already liked him, at least with the first Amazing Spider-Man, but this definitely made him a much better character for me. And yeah, not much else. No Way Home was great, and cannot wait for the second Spider-Man trilogy that he's gonna get. And um, and we have Multiverse of Madness coming, so yeah, not much else to say. Overall, I would say the Phase 4 of the MCU of 2021 was pretty darn good. Uh, would I say great? Maybe not, because there are two of their movies were so painfully mediocre. But the rest I thought I enjoyed a lot, for the most part. And I know, again, there are a lot of people who are getting sick of the MCU, like fatigue. Like, I do get that, but so far that hasn't happened to me yet. I'm still invested. I'm still looking forward to seeing where we're gonna go next. Multiverse of Madness is coming. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Love and Thunder, and next year, 2023, we've got the Fantastic Four finally coming, and Guardians 3. Um, and Loki season 2. I'm also looking forward to. They also confirmed um, a Captain America 4 is happening, taking place after Falcon Winter Soldier. So there's that, and yeah, I think that's about it. That's yeah. So peace.